The Mind Snatchers from 1972. Someone is trying to snatch Christopher Walken's mind by making him hang out in the hospital for weeks and weeks until something happens at the very end. Like a theme song.
Cartoons Reviews! Cartoons Reviews!
If you want to see Mind Snatchers, check the description below for some links to where you can see it. So, I was flipping around on my Roku, and I was like, I haven't checked out this American Horrors channel on Roku lately. So I turn it on, and I see this guy. One's a soldier, he's got a broken arm, and then another dude, and they're in this sort of hospital. And there's a third guy, and the guy in the uniform's like,
how come his head is bandaged? You said he got it in the intestines.
And so I'm like, okay, something's going on there. They're probably messing with this dude's mind. And they're probably going to operate on the guy who's a soldier. Well, I'm paying attention, and I'm like, wait a minute. That soldier dude, that's a young Christopher Walken. So I had to look it up because, unfortunately, the American Horrors channel doesn't really put up a guide anywhere I've found. So I was like, So luckily with Christopher Walken, though, I could figure it out, and it's Mind Snatchers. So this was based on a play called The Happiness Cage, and it really shows, because most of it just sort of takes place in this one main room of this mental hospital. And there's not very many characters, lots of talking, not a lot happens. So it starts with Walken's character. He is a total jackass.
Let's forget it. I want my curtains and get out of here. Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen.
Come on. Come on.
Wiedersehen.
Come on.
Don't you think this is enough?
Then he gets in a fight.
Private James H. Reese? Mm-hmm. Did some girl get hurt here tonight?
Is that what she said?
Get in a uniform, soldier. You're wanted out at the base for questioning.
Look, you come at a very bad time, see. I'm inside with a young lady.
I don't care if you're in bed with a 4-star general. Let's go.
I can't come with you now.
Don't put your hand on. Let's go.
They send him to this special hospital. And like I said, there are two other patients there. There's a guy...
Okay, Reese. Lieutenant Rhodes. Hey, Rhodes. Private Reese.
How do you do?
Reese. Sergeant Miles.
Hello.
And those are the only three patients, including Christopher Walken, in the entire hospital. So you're like, okay, something weird's going on. Turns out, yep, scientists was implanting things into their head, trying to create a way to control soldiers. The problem with the movie is, it takes forever to get to that point. Maybe as a play, all of the talking between Walken and the other dude and stuff, that kind of works better. But here, it's just boring. And part of the reason is because the characters are not nice. You're not rooting for Walken. He's a jerk. And as I said, he breaks up a fight. He gets in there and he's, he is, the character is totally right. It's like, why am I here for a broken arm? But then he's either complicit or naive because he helps distract the guard so that the other guy can end up raping the candy striper. And at first I was like, Walken's character is really in on this, but then they kind of act like, oh, he didn't know.
That's the first girl you ever raped?
But, really? So, I mean, it's a premise is interesting, but again, it just takes so long. The stuff with the mind transfer is basically the last 25 minutes of the movie. The rest of it is just talking. And, we learn a little bit about the other guy. The guy with his head bandage, he dies pretty quick. And then it's just like Christopher Walken's character being a jackass. Of course that doesn't mean you need to experiment on his character, but still, it's just bad. And then later on, when it comes Walken's turn to be experimented on, they like, oh, you unknowingly signed the consent form. And the doctor, who had like, oh, I don't really want to do it if you're not willing, then they're like, oh, okay, cool.
I will not take him against his wishes.
What did you expect? You volunteered.
I didn't volunteer for anything.
The release form.
Mm-mm.
Your signature.
Sure you did, Reese. You signed the release along with all those other papers the night you were admitted with a broken arm. As simple as that, and quite legal.
You bastard.
Well, what do you say, Doctor? You think you have the right to ask her to push this?
I'm sick of hearing about rights.
And he just goes along with it. So, it would have been more interesting if it would have been more kind of flowers for Algernon, or if it would have been more, there would have been more characters that were having stuff done to them, so it would have been more of a mystery. But, I figured it out, not knowing the name of the movie or anybody in it within like 5 minutes. So, it's not that great. The ending is pretty good in that kind of 70s way that it's not a happy ending. Spoilers. But I gotta give this 3 thumbs down. Christopher Walken is worth watching, but that's it. Needs more something.